Well, for the seventh time in 8 days, we've got severe weather risk from Texas to Nebraska. Should not be a shock to anybody. Not a half bad day across much of the eastern states. Gorgeous day here in North Georgia. Cloud free skies and temperatures that made it to the upper 70s in the mountains. I got a lot of yard work done. But we're going to set that aside now and just move forward to another night of hoopla and enjoyment here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system, which you can run directly from your mobile device, and join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is on the description to this podcast. Tempest is an affiliate of the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Use the coupon code Spring 2024 because if you do and you buy something,
You'll get 10% off. Yeah.
US.
Yes.
All right. First of all, let me switch. I always like to be on the left, not for any political reason. Just I just feel more comfortable on the left. There you
Okay.
go. So,
Right.
um,
He's over there now.
yeah, right. And you're over there.
Yes.
Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight, and those of you who are watching in the background. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which airs Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time, and the occasional Friday and Saturday when there's a storm around. If there is, we'll let you know that we're doing an extra show, but we're going to do one less show because we're going to be off tomorrow, folks. Uh, Taking the opportunity now while things are relatively quiet to take a much needed break. So just mark that down. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. If you like the show, hit the like button because we like to be liked. So we're not going to be here tomorrow night, okay? By the way, I can't show you, but I got to just take my word for it. I've been the last 2 days. I've been doing yard work since Sunday. I've actually gotten a lot done. What took me 6 weeks to do last year, getting everything together, has I've got the bulk of it done now in just 4 days, which is great. I still have some more work to do, but uh, it's not going to take me that long. I have been eaten absolutely alive. I've got bug bites all over my legs,
Wonderful.
on my arms. Oh God, I haven't been eaten up like this in years.
Yeah. Well, now you know how I felt a couple of weeks ago when I posted my picture of the whatever you want to call them, midges or mayflies or whatever. They they have diminished noticeably in the last couple of weeks. They usually don't last very long. Usually, by the time we get to the end of April, they are all but gone. But
They
yeah,
only live for like a day or two.
what the midges
The mayflies.
or the mayflies? Well,
Yeah,
I don't know what you call them. I call them midges or black flies or no seums or whatever.
yeah.
But the bite is the thing that makes it. I mean, and Renata has in the medicine cabinet something called afterbite. So you rub the afterbite on the bite, and that supposedly gets soothes the pain or whatever. But I can empathize with you. The way you just said the bugs are biting out there. It's like ringing the dinner bell. That's
Oh God. Well, nothing's worse than horseflies. Horseflies are just
oh,
vicious.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they'll take whole chunks of skin out of you.
right.
And then once you start bleeding, then they tell that's sort of like ringing the triangle bell to all the other horseflies. Dinner is being served. They are nasty. They are just absolutely nasty.
That the one with the gold back or the green back?
Green.
Green, yeah. Ah,
I don't know which one is with the gold back. Oh, the other thing we have here too, we have yellow jackets. Okay, which they're yellow jackets. We have these they have these really tiny yellow jackets though. And my poor dog, he was just the other morning out. I mean, and he's trying to do his business, and he's being stung by these bees and yellow jackets. Uh, he just could not. You know how dogs are; they got to get into their position and find their spot. So he just these bugs were just absolutely torturing him.
It's sad, and most yellow jackets are relatively small, but the queen is noticeably larger, and you don't want to fool around
Oh,
with her.
she's got a crown.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, we've got another night of severe weather. I'm sure that's a shock to everybody. But we do have another round of severe weather going on in the plains. And tonight it's in a box in southwest Kansas down through West Texas and a couple of counties in western Oklahoma. And then it turned two tornado watches and a severe thunderstorm watch further south into southwest Texas. So uh, today's storms are more to the west than they have been in the last number of days when they've been up more in Iowa and Nebraska, of course. So they've been kind of vacillating around. So this one's a little bit further to the west. And we've got flood watches up for much of central and east Texas and into western Louisiana. But other than that, it's quiet throughout the rest of the country. We should also note that there are a few counties in northwestern Montana that have winter storm warnings up and others that have winter weather advisories up
Before you get into that, give me a chance to share. Last night I shared a time lapse of the thunderstorm that crossed through parts of New York City from
go
the day.
for it.
But now, what I want to show all of you is another incredible time lapse. This is of the thunderstorms or the tornado outbreak that occurred over Oklahoma yesterday. It's a satellite view, and I'm going to enlarge this. Take a look at this, Joe.
Yes, and the thing is, Joe, this I think it was an EF. I think they said it was an EF5, but it was basically in the middle of nowhere, thankfully.
Yeah, but look
It,
at
it,
this.
yeah, I mean that's insane. Look at that
Yeah,
thing.
reminds
Whoa.
reminds me of
Talk
what Tex Antoine used to say, the percolating effect. You know.
God, that is really impressive.
Yep.
And yeah, but thankfully, apparently it was over mostly farmland, so some crops got ripped up and thrown into another county. Uh, probably served on a plate. But as far as there was no building damage, there was no lives lost. Thankfully, it was in a very desolate area. So, but very, very impressive.
Yep.
Hopefully, nothing like that happens tonight in that part of the country, and we'll bring up the satellite loop and see what's happening there. And where are you? There you go. There's the GO satellite loop tonight, and we're seeing. You can see a lot of lightning strikes though coming out of West Texas, up and down the state from north to south. And also in parts of East Texas, where I think the problem is more rain than anything else. And still, all of this is blossoming. And meanwhile, other than a few clouds up in northern New England, it was a pretty nice day up and down the East Coast. A couple of leftover showers and a thunderstorm in eastern North Carolina this evening, and a few areas of patchy thunderstorms in South Florida. Other than that, it's quiet in the east, and we've got clouds up in the northwest, up in the northern Rockies anyway, and more energy that's coming in from off the Pacific. At least the next couple of days to me just look rather you know, uneventful, I guess is the best way to put it. They're not, I don't know if they're going to be picture perfect. There might be, looks like there's some low clouds. There's like an arm of low clouds in the ocean that's backing westward, right along the south shore of Long Island. It's not a solid deck, but sort of like an arm of clouds moving back there. I think we're getting into this, start to get to the time of year where um, under certain conditions, you get clouds that develop at night, particularly if there's any kind of onshore flow, and then they linger into the morning and burn off to some sunshine. I think that's sort of where we're going for the next couple of days.
And yeah, those clouds will eventually work their way, I think, as far inland as even here in the Hudson Valley. I went for partly to becoming mostly cloudy later tonight. There may even be some fog patches in a few places come daybreak, but that should all burn off quickly. And tomorrow, well, maybe we could even call it the pick of the week. Temps in the 70s to near 80, and that's well above normal for this time of the year. And we're also going to be looking at, again, skies becoming mainly sunny. So a great day tomorrow. Not a half bad day on Friday. And the weekend, well, what can you say? A gradual deterioration. Maybe we'll be able to get through Saturday, I think, Joe, without any precipitation, although we might see a shower enter western sections of the Hudson Valley by the late afternoon or early evening on Saturday. And then Sunday, just an unseasonably cool and kind of a damp. I don't want to use the term, you know, doom and gloom, but
Gloom and doom. Gloom comes first.
gloom comes before doom.
Yes.
Whatever. It's going to be that kind of a day on Sunday, I think, right now.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I thought maybe it just, some showers start to come in late in the afternoon in areas to the west, and then showery rains Saturday night, and then on Sunday, you want to throw in a thunderstorm in there. I don't know. That's up to you. I'll
Well,
leave it. I'll leave it to you.
well, it doesn't really matter whether or not we get a thunderstorm or not. It's just going to be kind of a blech kind of day on Sunday. So,
Well, it's a lot of boxes, a lot of yellow boxes, folks, in Texas, a couple up in Kansas, and there are some green boxes, which means they're flash flood warnings, and there's also some red boxes, which means they're tornado warnings. And right now, we've got two tornado warnings in play. One is in Hansford and Ochiltree counties in Texas, and the other one is in Gove County or Gove. I don't know how they pronounce it. That's in Kansas. And both have the Kansas tornado has 11 minutes to go. The Texas tornado has 20, tornado warning has 26 minutes to go. And then there's a whole slew of severe thunderstorm warnings up and down, and you can see them on the radar. Fairly concentrated there in Northwest Texas. There's also a few in uh, East Texas, south of Dallas, Fort Worth, and about maybe a little more than halfway up between Houston and Dallas, but a little less than halfway down between Dallas and Houston, depending on which way you're traveling. So there's that. We've got some strong storms, not severe, but probably some heavy rains going on in parts of southeastern Missouri. And we also have some rain and showers further north in the Dakotas and in Nebraska and Iowa with some heavier downpours there. And then it's mountain snows and valley rains in Montana and Wyoming and Idaho. And it looks like a patch of rain that's rolling into Oregon and into the Oregon and Washington coast. So other than that, the radars from Maine to Florida, except for South Florida, we've got a little dying thunderstorm there. What's left of one. There was a severe warning up there earlier in Southwest Florida, but that's disappeared. Otherwise, then we've got these cells in eastern North Carolina. But other than that, everything's pretty much done. The Storm Prediction Center, Joe, SPC, as we take a look with an enhanced risk of severe weather, with two tornado watches up at the moment in those red boxes that you see, and in the blue box. It's not exactly a box, but we've always called it a box. SPC SPC just issued a box, Joe. Remember that? They just
well,
they just they just issued a box.
is it a box or a parallelogram?
No, but right, but we never said that parallelogram. We always said it was a box.
Yeah,
The box, they put a box up.
Uh,
Remember
yeah. Well,
in the old days that we would say that
right.
SPC just put a box up?
You'd hear it on Ray Warwick or Service C. The ding, 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 up, up. There goes the box.
Yeah.
The box is going up.
And as I said, we've got three boxes. Enhanced risk of severe weather tonight. And of course, that comes with a 2 to 5% tornado risk. Not seeing um, the 10% hatched area for the EF2s to the EF5s tonight, but they didn't have one yesterday and still managed to pop one up anyway. Tomorrow, a small area of slight risk has been added to parts of central Texas into southwest Oklahoma, and you see it there. And that comes with a very broad 2% tornado risk that extends from that all the way up through Kansas and northern Missouri into Illinois, northwestern Illinois, and southeastern Iowa. And that's all inside the marginal risk. Usually you don't see uh, the 2% match up completely. You see 2% in marginal risk, but this one's a little more extensive than they normally are. But there you have it. And of course, nothing up and down the eastern seaboard. Day three has another small area for now of marginal risk in Kansas and southwest Nebraska and eastern Colorado. This is for Friday into Saturday. And SPC on the long range is day six. Day six, Joe, which is Monday into Tuesday. We already
I
have
have
a
to say, they're getting braver now. I mean, it used to be that it was like major news if they went as far out as day six on the at SBC, but now it's becoming more, you know, I won't say typical, but you're seeing that a lot more nowadays than it used to be like a day four, day five. Wow, they went all the way out to day five, but now day six, and I think we've even seen a day seven, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you know they mean business when they put it in day seven. I mean,
right.
even when they put it in day six, they mean business because otherwise they would have just put predictability too low. But this covers a lot of the same areas that have been getting clobbered.
Yeah, yeah, no question about it. And that's just it. I don't even know what I would think if I was living in that part of the country. Oh, here we go again.
Right. Well, you don't have a sea breeze. You don't have, if you're a Long Islander, you understand that you don't have a sea breeze to kill the thunderstorms over there. It's you're trapped.
Right.
You're absolutely trapped. There's nothing to alleviate these things really. All right, so that's SPC, WPC. I'm curious as to what the rainfall. I mean, it's got to be very uneven with these storms. But it's been going on for 8 days now. I got to imagine that some of these places have gotten, you know, half a foot of rain at least out of this. And then there are other places that probably got far less, again, all depending on where the storms are. But here we go with an additional inch and a half to as much as 3 inches across much of Texas and Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, eastern Kansas, southeastern Nebraska, much of Iowa, up into Wisconsin. Also, big precip amounts being indicated for central and eastern Montana and the western Dakotas of up to several inches of rain over the next 7 days. That's going to be with the storm system for next week, and we've been showing that the last couple of days with a deep low that comes into California and then really strengthens and goes off the wall as it moves east of the Rockies and starts to move northward from there. And we've also got heavy precip being indicated up in the Pacific Northwest with several inches or more being forecast for the Cascades, which I guess most of that's going to probably be rain, although if you go high enough up, you'll probably still see some snow out of that. And flash flooding. All right, well, this is the snow, so might as well do that. This is the probability for at least two. And there you have it. I mean, just these sort of patchy areas in northwest Montana and in the Cascades. If we go to four, and this takes us, by the way, to Saturday night, high probabilities for four up in northwestern Montana. And these are the areas that we have winter storm warnings up at the moment. And also that small area in the Cascades there in Oregon, where we're probably going to see some 4 inch or higher snow amounts. And I thought I had the flash flood map. Here it is. So tonight we've got WPC showing a moderate risk of flash flooding in East Texas, big area of slight risk that extends up into Oklahoma. Then it goes marginal in Kansas, and then goes back to slight in eastern Nebraska and western Iowa. As we go to tomorrow, it's up and down the Mississippi River Valley from south to north, all at a slight risk for flash flooding. And then as we go to the third day, which is Friday into Saturday, marginal risk from Texas across Louisiana into Mississippi, northern Alabama, Tennessee, western Kentucky, and then a separate area in Kansas and Nebraska. But nothing, that's the one thing, and it's, I guess, I don't guess it is nice that, yeah, we are getting these occasional shots where we're getting some rain, but they're not really problematic. I don't think the one for the weekend is going to be problematic. It's going to be annoying because it's going to take out half the weekend, but it's not like we're dealing with 4 or 5 inch rainfalls here.
Yeah, and it is annoying when you're looking outside. You're stuck inside. You look outside. It's cloudy. It's gray. It's like 10 degrees below normal. It's damp. You've got like on and off light rain or drizzle or whatever. Yeah, that could be almost as annoying. In fact, even more annoying than being dealt the possibility of getting heavy rain or a big thunderstorm or whatever. It just lingers for much of the day. And what really is going to hurt, Joe, is that after the weekend is over, on Monday, back we go to sunny to partly cloudy skies and back up into the 70s.
Yep,
Lovely.
naturally.
Yes.
Uh, I'm just checking out the upper air here. So there's your trough in the west. You can see that upper low north of Montana just sort of rotating around with energy. Most of it stays way to the west. And we get into Friday, we still have a ridge here along the east coast, which starts to break down a bit on Saturday. So that's, but and it's hard to see, but there's like a weak short wave in the flow that's moving northeastward, which is what's going to bring some showery rains Saturday night and Sunday. And then here's that powerhouse coming into California and Nevada, swings up into Utah, and this is a little northwest of where it was yesterday, and then it goes up into Wyoming, and eventually just goes full negative tilt east-west with an upper low closing off in eastern South Dakota, and then up into North Dakota, and that's through Tuesday. Now, while all that's going on, if you've got a big storm in that position, you do have a little bit of a ridge here in the eastern part of the United States, so that at least means that next week for Monday and probably Tuesday, it will be dry. But I also think that, Joe, with this kind of an upper air setup like this is going to be another potential big severe weather event for somebody in the plains.
Right. And as we've been saying for the last couple of days, it may very well be this time around, it'll be the area will be shifted more north of what we've been accustomed to seeing over the last week or so. It's
Well,
like share the love, right?
right. So tomorrow's not an issue. There's a weak low that drops through northern New England, and all that actually does is make for more of a northwest wind tomorrow. So I think tomorrow's probably going to be the warmest day of the next 4 or 5, with except for right along the immediate coast. And there should be enough sun. So I'm thinking, mid 70s to low 80s tomorrow for eastern PA to southern New England.
I would
I
say
mean,
75 to 80 is just about a good bet. But some people may even go above 80 tomorrow.
yeah, that's why I said mid 70s to low 80s. We've had a few days here where we've been finishing on the upside of guidance. And here's your latest low in Colorado that moves into Oklahoma. That runs up to the northeast, and that slight risk of flash flooding up and down the Mississippi River Valley tomorrow. Well, you can see why with the moisture from Louisiana all the way up to Wisconsin and Minnesota. Low center that's up in the western North Dakota turning into Canada and going away. Now, a part of that system, a weak part of it moves eastward. Friday looks dry. Then we start to get the flow becomes a little more onshore on Friday and particularly on Saturday, with clouds increasing and a high to the northeast. And here comes a low with a wall of rain for Saturday night into Sunday afternoon. The GFS on tonight's run, Joe, comes in with the rain a little bit faster than prior runs. We'll have to see how that plays. And then once that plays through on Sunday, as you said, Monday looks okay and Tuesday looks okay. But look in the West. Here comes that, with that upper low coming into California. There's what is that? A 989 low in Western Nevada. And, for one thing in California, and in Western Nevada, the isobars are literally lying on top of each other. So somebody's going to blow away with that. And that low finds its way up into Montana as an 85. It's a little west and not quite as deep as what we had yesterday, But as that goes up, another one probably forms in Nebraska, and that looks like it's a 92-90 and 88 low in Nebraska Monday afternoon. That lifts up into North Dakota, so you could see, the screaming south wind that goes from West Texas all the way up to Minnesota. And again, showers and storms. Monday, severe weather in the plains and extending up and maybe into North Dakota, depending on how far the warm sector sets up. And now you got a 74 low in central North Dakota. And by the time we get to Tuesday of next week, we've got rain approaching the Northeast, lifting out sometime on Wednesday, and then some other low that comes out of Texas and goes to Lake Erie. Now, I remember the other day that the model had this sort of wrapped up low that was, that if it verified, would mean maybe potential for severe weather, and then it just sort of, didn't really do very much with it the last couple of days. Now it's back to doing something with this, and I wonder whether this might be a setup potentially for some severe weather late next week if this verifies. Let's see what the upper air looks like. Yeah, I mean, there's a fairly sharp trough that's coming into the east here late next week. So maybe usually you get into May, you start to see chances for severe weather shift further east uh, and out of the plains and across the south because we haven't really had much in the way of severe weather here across the south.
But it will be. It will. It looks like it's going to be warming up some across the south, the deep south,
Yes.
as into next week. So not so
Oh,
much up here, but you know.
oh, it was nice today because we had no humidity. It was really, really nice, I have to say.
Did you
Uh,
did you hear, by the way, who saved the day at Dodger Stadium? The ball game was in jeopardy, and they called somebody to come, and that person came, took care of the problem, and ended up throwing out the first ball and getting a big hand from the fans at Dodger Stadium. You want to see this? I don't know if you saw
yeah,
the.
go ahead. I don't know no, I don't know about this.
All righty, let's. There's the hero of the game.
Yeah. Well,
And actually, I don't think it was at Dodger Stadium. It was at across the way in Anaheim.
Ar- or was it in Arizona?
No, 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 no. This was, well, it might be, maybe it was. Well, was it Arizona? I know the Dodgers were playing.
Well, that's what Rich Rothmansky says. It was Arizona.
Well, then it was Arizona.
Why did
And
this man say that? Totally forgot, but now you brought the baseball thing up, it reminded me. So I understand, and I saw them. All right, that the Mets got a new uniform.
Joe, it's got to be the ugliest
It's
uniform.
horrible. Who came up with that? I heard that the baseball players were complaining that because Nike makes their uniforms, and apparently they were complaining because I don't know, they didn't feel right or whatever. Um, but I saw them put up this. God, they're just. I mean, the Mets blue,
This looks like
that was their signature color for forever. It looks
it looks like something.
horrible.
It looks like something like that even Goodwill or Green Drop would have turned down. It's horrible, just unbelievable. And I don't know why. I don't know why it is. And supposedly they're not going to wear the black uniforms anymore, which I'm happy about that because I never liked the black uniforms. But I mean, what the heck? What the heck is going on here?
Personally, I liked when they would wear the old uniforms on a given day. I thought that was cool.
Well, I don't know what this is supposed to be. I don't think either the New York Giants or the Brooklyn Dodgers wore these. If these are retro uniforms or not, I
No, they're
am
not. They're not retro, Joe. Those uniforms that they've switched. They switched to that uniform?
no. They're not wearing it all the time, thank God, but only on, I guess, special occasions. I don't know, but I
Oh,
hate it.
they're god awful. They
Yeah.
really are.
Yep.
All right, folks. You know what? I'm really exhausted tonight, so we're gonna make it a short show and call it a night, and we'll save Briller Jeopardy for Sunday. So there's no show for tomorrow. So we'll see you guys everybody on Sunday at 7:35 p.m. The Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is pinned to the description to this podcast. Tempest is an affiliate of the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, and use the coupon code Spring 2024. If you do, you will get.
You'll get 10% off, and our dear friend Dennis Cassia on the chat board says they're wearing those atrocious uniforms tonight. So if you have not yet seen them, you can tune in if you have, I guess, SNY, and you could see for yourself how disgusting these uniforms are.
And Leon Probisky, thank you for the late bang on Super Chat. Most appreciated. I'm going to bed. I have an appointment to have my oil changed tomorrow. It's at 8 a.m. I have to drive over to Pixley and leave it off at the mechanic slash horse barn to get my oil change done.
Will
So
you say hello to Joe Carson for me?
I will do that. I will do that.
Yeah.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Pretty good junction.
Wah, wah. Good night, folks.
Night.